God. No pressure, right? Let's all just take a moment and lower our expectations a little bit. I am beyond thrilled to be here. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me. This is actually my third Irma Bombeck Writers Workshop. So I'm not a virgin. I saw that there's stickers, is that right? That somebody's walking around, I'm a virgin. I'm like, right on, right? I'm thrilled to be here, and the honor of keynoting is fantastic, so thank you guys so much. So when I was asked to be here, the organizers, I said, what do you want me to talk about? And they said, oh, you can talk about whatever you want. So immediately my mind turned to attempted murders and natural disasters, because why not? As it turns out, both of these things have led me to discover an uncomfortable truth about myself. And whenever I get uncomfortable, I feel compelled to share that discomfort. So lucky you. You're welcome. Okay, so late one evening last month, I officially gave up. I decided I had enough of humans and humanity and people in general. And to announce my complete and utter concession from life, as most modern folk do, I tweeted. And so this is what I tweeted. You probably can't read it, but it says, if anyone ever asks you when the moment was that I lost all faith in humanity, tell them it was at 11:42 p.m. on Thursday, March 15th, when I read this article. I give up. Okay, so before I continue, I am not going to be just talking about gore and horror today. I want to preface everything I'm about to tell you that everybody in this story survives. Everybody is going to be fine. I'm not that bad. But in case you missed this Washington Post article, it starts out pretty innocuously. Emily Javier suspected her boyfriend, Alex Lovell, of cheating on her, and she got angry. And that's when things went sideways. Because to get back at him, she decided to go to her local mall and purchase not locks, to change the locks and keep him out of the house forever, but instead a samurai sword. Yeah, apparently Oregon malls have more exotic weapons than malls back in Texas do. So it seems that Emily was frustrated with her boyfriend for staying constantly glued to his video games, not to mention that in the previous weeks she had begun to develop strong suspicions that he was unfaithful. So naturally, she thought to herself, I'm gonna stab him while he's sleeping. So on March 2nd, when Alex came home and ignored her yet again to play his games, she allegedly decided to go through with the attack, taping the sword and 2 knives to the side of the bed, and when he finally went to sleep, my girl reached for the sword. All right, so you get the story. Boy meets girl, boy cheats on girl goes to the mall, gets a samurai sword, and starts hacking at him in the middle of the night while he's sleeping. Now, on its own, this is a pretty sad story, right? Like, Emily is clearly in a lot of pain if she feels compelled to go after her boyfriend with a sword. And normally, I would have just clicked away from the article and shaken my head at the tragedy and moved on. But this story doesn't end here. So, my girl's hacking at him, and he wakes up, and he's presumably stunned that his girlfriend has gone buck wild. And here's what the article says. Quote, survival instincts, mainly martial arts training, and all the kung fu films he watched clicked in. Y'all got that, right? The kung fu films he watched saved his life. All right. It continues. I was able to Wing Chun my way to survival, he told the Oregonian, referring to a Chinese martial art that I totally thought was made up, but is actually a thing. And he said, I saw the look in her eyes, and it scared the living poop out of me. So, my boy Alex grabs Emily in a bear hug, and he talks her into calling the police, which she did. And when they arrive, they find him huddled in a blood-stained corner. He's got 3 fingers just about hacked off, but thankfully, they got him to a hospital. They were able to reattach his fingers, okay? So that's good. And this is the part in the article where we find out more about our hapless victim. Because apparently, the emotion that this experience has left him with is not grief, not horror, but overwhelmingly one of pride. Quote, I was just so proud for beating this samurai wannabe crazy lady with hate in her heart, the 29-year-old Holyoke Oregonian, and he said, I've been preparing my whole life for something like this. Okay? The article keeps going. Alex Lovell, AKA Biggie to his gamer friends, had been recently logging 12 to 13 hours a day playing his video games. The regimen also required exercises for his hands, wrists, and shoulders, and also practicing mouse moves and techniques to maximize performance. And here's my favorite part. I wasn't a sweaty nerd, he said, more of an athlete. Electronic athlete, okay? And the article ends with this gem. The feeling I had when I won the fight with my bare hands is just absolutely the best feeling, he boasted from the hospital. I've played all the sports, won big games, landed some decent tricks on my snowboard. This was better. I imagine so. Okay, so you're all laughing, but late that night, after a long day of scores of sensational news breaking online and cranky Facebook commenters and difficult phone calls and one particularly snotty barista, that article left me pissed. Like, dude, your girlfriend tried to kill you and you're proud, right? You've been preparing your whole life for something like this? I tell you what you should be doing, you should be re-examining your whole life. And I went off. I ranted to my husband, I ranted online, I went to bed, I woke up the next morning, I was angry, I was just mad. And I'm banging around coffee mugs in the morning, I'm like, oh, you gonna Wing Chun your way to survival, are you? And I was just angry. And my daughter comes into the kitchen and she's like, rubbing her sleepy eyes, and she's about to ask what the commotion is all about, when my husband glares at her and shakes his head in warning. I'm like, athlete, right? So my daughter's eyes grow really big with concern, and then she kind of nods to her dad, like, I get what you're saying, and backs out, and my husband slowly follows her out of the room. And I'm still banging stuff around, and 30 minutes later, I finally stumble into the shower, and I'm still angry, by the way, athlete, come on. When suddenly it uncomfortably dawns on me, I might be Alex Lovell. I might be a Wing Chun master. See, I live in Houston, Texas, and some of you might recall this past summer we had a little storm that wreaked a little bit of havoc in our town. All right, now to be clear, Houston is no stranger to flooding. We are a flooding city. In the last few years, we've had a couple of severe floods where people lost their homes, and those were just from unusually enthusiastic rainstorms, not hurricanes. So when it became apparent that Hurricane Harvey was going to be making landfall about 150 miles south of us, we knew it was going to be a major rain event, but we were told it wasn't going to be a big wind event. And so Houstonians, we didn't even consider evacuating, right? Like, this wasn't our first rodeo. We've been here before. So we went to the stores and we bought the necessities of life, like steaks and wine and beer and chips, right? And we prepared to hunker down and just kind of wait for the few days until the street flooding receded. In fact, I didn't even let the fact that I'd let our flood insurance lapse 2 years earlier, yeah. Y'all understand foreshadowing, don't you? Writers, yeah. Because even in those previous flood incidents, our neighborhood was dry. We don't live in a flood zone. So Harvey makes landfall. And then the next day, the storm, which has now been weakened, turns, and it starts to make its way toward Houston. So now friends from outside the city are watching, and they're fretting and freaking out, and I took to Facebook, and I was assuring them that whatever they were seeing on their television screens was completely far away from us. We're fine. I said, I'm drinking wine. Marcus has got his whiskey. We're good. We're great. But the water kept coming. So, so I don't know if you can see that, but that's my front lawn.